Hello awesome humans, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to teach you how to make stinging nettle pesto. Hi, my name's Corinne, and here at Spirea I share videos that weave together plant wisdom, holistic health, self-sufficiency with just a dash of magic. If this sounds interesting to you, I'd love for you to stick around. So we are in what's left of my medicinal herb garden. It's actually getting a complete overhaul this year. So one of my big jobs is taking out all of these plants so we have kind of a clean slate to work with. And as you can see, I didn't even plant nettle here. I've got quite the rogue nettle patch that has wonderfully naturalized. And so instead of just digging these all up and composting them, I decided that I was going to make pesto. And one of the reasons why I really love working with nettle as a wild edible is that it is loaded with nutrition. I am going to write an accompanying blog post, and I'll make sure I include all those nutritional details. That'll be in the description below. But suffice it to say, it's high in iron, zinc, phosphorus, magnesium, so many of the trace minerals and major minerals that we need. It's got 10 times more nutritional punch than something like spinach. And to be honest, when you're making things like pesto, by the time you add in all the garlic and the pine nuts, you know, it really almost doesn't matter what herb you use. But nettle itself, and one of my husband's favorite sides is a sauteed nettle just with some butter. So when you're working with nettle as food, essentially the minute it's exposed to alcohol, heat, vinegar, it doesn't sting anymore, right? So I know that's the first thing. Oh my gosh, Corinne, you want me to eat stinging nettle? I'm like, yes, I do, because it's really good for you. And I'm also in the description going to post a link to a potato leek and nettle soup that we make every year, which is also fantastic. So let's talk about how to harvest our nettles. When you're harvesting nettles for food, you want them in the spring. You want them when they're nice and little like this, before they flowered. So I'll get my husband to zoom in here so you can see they're still really young at this point. Once they've flowered, this is the perfect time for you to dry your nettles for tea or perhaps make tincture from it. In terms of medicinal, this is not when I want them. Spring is when we want them as a wild edible because we can eat them in larger quantities. Once they've flowered, there's some chemical constituents that are in much higher quantities, which make it great for medicine, not so good on your kidneys. So this is the time of year. Now, what you want to do, most people wear gloves. I know some people who are uber skilled, and if you're one of those, please mention in the comments if you can work with nettles and not get stung. I don't know how people do it. I haven't got to that point yet, but she earns her name. So I'm just going to go in here with scissors and my gloves, and I'm just going to cut all the way down to the bottom. Now, as you can see, the stalk is quite fibrous. So when I get inside, still wearing my gloves, I'm going to strip all these leaves off because I don't want this as a part of my pesto or my sauteed nettle or in any soups. It's just got a lot of fiber. It's really chewy. So when you get inside, I know a lot of people use dish gloves for this. You're just going to strip off these leaves. But for now, I'm going to get to harvesting. And so I can go inside and make some delicious pesto. Are you ready to take your herbal learning to the next level? To dive into the world of plant-based wisdom and to walk the path of a plant worker? If you are, I invite you to check out Weavers of Plant Wisdom, which is my new monthly membership platform where we explore all topics plants. I hope to see you there. So I'm back inside after a very long day of working out in the garden, and because I knew I was going to be blanching these, I just left them in my basket. But the next step, and I wear, as you can see, dish gloves to do this, is to strip the leaves and any debris off the stems, because again, those stems are really chewy and fibrous and they don't have a lot of nutrition, and what we're going for here is the nutrition in the nettles. So I just break all that off and I will finish up this basket. So for this recipe, you're going to need 6 cups of nettle leaves. I'm going to be doubling the recipe today because I harvested quite a bit. So your goal is to go for 6 cups. And I'll see you when I'm done all of this. Okay, so your next step here, I've got 12 cups of nettles, but again, I'm doubling the recipe. So you want 6 cups of fresh nettles. And what you're going to do is you're going to blanch them. And this process, the process of blanching, if you've never done it before, it's really, really easy. You just cook something in boiling water for 1 to 2 minutes and then immediately dunk it into cold water to stop the cooking process. With nettles, this is also going to allow them to retain that beautiful green color that they have, although mine are mostly purple. So what you want to do is put them in here, cook them for 1 to 2 minutes. I'm going to strain them out in my sink and then dump them in. We actually have a bowl here with an ice pack in it because we don't have any ice, to make sure the water is nice and cold. After you do that, I will show you what the process is. My water is almost at a boil here, so I'll catch you after I'm done blanching. So we have our blanched nettles in our nice cold water, and this stops the cooking process, which is exactly what you want to do. Now from here, you're going to be taking your nettles out. As you can see, they don't sting me anymore because they've been cooked. But you want to squeeze out, whoop! Every time, every video I make a mess. Squeeze out as much water as possible, and then put them on a tea towel to dry out a bit while you prep the rest of your ingredients. So again, you want to get as much water out as possible, or else your pesto is going to end up pretty watery. So once I'm finished that, I'll meet you over at my food processor so you can see what the next steps of the process are. All right, so we're back. I have blanched, put in ice water, and then wrung out all of my nettles. And you can see they don't sting anymore, and they've got this really beautiful green color, which is what you want. Now, this recipe is in my book, so if you don't have a copy, there is a link in the description below if you're interested. It has over 70 recipes, I believe. Anything from skincare, herbal first aid. It has all of my favorite herbal recipes, including some wild foods, which the stinging nettle pesto will be included in it. However, I'm also going to write an accompanying blog post, so I've got you covered there. That'll be also in the description below. So the other ingredients you're going to need are very similar to your other pestos that you want to make. So I like to use sunflower seeds. Now, all traditional pesto recipes call for pine nuts. Pine nuts are really expensive, and my husband is a public school teacher here in Ontario, and if I use sunflower seeds, I can send leftovers to school with him because there's no worries about allergies. So I like to use these. I'm just double checking what you guys will need. You're going to need 1/3 of a cup. And I've used almonds, you can use walnuts, like I said, sunflower seeds or pine nuts. You're going to need 1/2 cup. Remember, I'm doubling my recipe. 1/2 cup of grated Parmesan. You're going to need the juice, a tablespoon of freshly squeezed lemon juice. You're going to need anywhere from 4 to 8 cloves of garlic, and this is very much to taste. We like our pesto really garlicky. Start with 4, taste it. You can always add more. And then you're going to need olive oil, probably about 1/2 cup, but I don't really measure it. I do it by sight and see what my pesto looks like and when I get it to the consistency I want. So I'm just going to start dumping things into my food processor. So there's my nettle. This would be the 1/3 of a cup of sunflower seeds. In this case, again, I doubled the recipe. Okay, there is my 1/2 cup. So in my case, 1 cup of Parmesan. I'm going to be adding in a generous spoonful of our preserved garlic. Add that in there. And then my lemon juice. So what you want to do at this point, I like to pulse all of these ingredients and then add the olive oil. I really want those sunflower seeds to break up and everything to be well incorporated. It's probably a good idea to have a spatula on hand because you'll want to scrape down the sides. All right, so this is the consistency you're going to get before you add your olive oil. And this is where I will add in. And like I said, I don't tend to do a lot of measurements with pesto. I just dump in a bunch, see what the consistency is like and then add more. It depends. Do you like your pesto with a higher olive oil content? Do you like it a little bit more oily? Or do you like it a little thicker? It really just depends on your preferences. So I'm going to add in that, see what it looks like, and I might have to add in a little bit more after. Is our pesto. It's a little thick, so what I'll do, I'm probably just going to freeze it like this, and then when I'm using it, I may add some more olive oil to it. So the best way to preserve your pesto is to freeze it. There are no canning safe recipes, okay, water bath or pressure canning. So there's no way, unfortunately, to can this to make it shelf stable. People ask me all the time, but it's shelf stable in the grocery store. I know, but I'm pretty sure they have different machinery than we do have access to with home canning. So the best and really only way to preserve this is to freeze it. And we've always frozen it in these little jam jars, and it works great. So I'll just scoop some out and fill up my jars so that way I can get some of the season's first pestos into the freezer. So the recipe I shared with you today will make 2 of these jars. Remember, I doubled it. So I'll put the lids on, label these, and pop these into the freezer for future use. My absolute favorite way, of course, is to have pesto on pasta, but you can enjoy it with crackers. You can enjoy it on pizza. We actually sometimes will make pizza and just put pesto on instead of tomato sauce. It's also really good on sandwiches. If you've got any other ways that you like to enjoy pesto, please comment below. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it encourages you to look at your weeds a little bit differently because nettle's got some amazing medicine. And until next time, this is Corinne from Spirea Herbs, wishing you health and wellness.